What a week it's been! What a week it's been in films! What a shit week it's been! Nothing has happened. There is no funny news to talk about. All that's happened is lots of famous actors have died and loads of famous women have been cyber raped. So there's literally nothing funny to say about anything that's happened in movies in the last fortnight. Nothing's happened in the world of film either. Guardians of the Galaxy is still #1 in the charts because nothing interesting's been released. All the movie news is full of reports from the Toronto International Film Festival, which means all the news is that a film was well received and may very likely get distribution. Of course it will. That's not news. That's like saying producers of the film are hoping to cast Tom Hardy or Benedict Cumberbatch. Of course they are. The fuck are you even doing producing movies if your first thought isn't to cast Tom Hardy or Benedict Cumberbatch? That's not news. That's like saying wedding caterers are thinking of saving money by padding out the dinner with couscous. Of course they are. So what the fuck? Jesus. People said I should try more observational humour to sort of be more mainstream. So here goes. You know when you can't find the film you've been looking for in Criterion's DVD selection? Right? And you realise you've been looking at Agnes Varda, and you're meant to be looking at Andrzej Wajda. We've all done it. We've all done it. Pride is soon to open here in the UK, a film about the relationship between gay rights activists and trade unions during the miners' strike. The film has been described as the new Full Monty and Billy Elliot, which I hope means that it's fun and accessible rather than factually incorrect, historically inaccurate and completely missing the point. And finally, everyone went back to school here in the UK. Remember how going back to school in the UK was compulsory? No? Well, you had to be there. And so concludes the jokes, inverted commas, of the week. Yeah. According to a survey carried out to mark the release of the Bad Neighbours DVD, women prefer men with big bellies. Yeah, women prefer men with big bellies. Yeah, I'll believe it when I sleep with it. Maybe it is true. To be honest, I'm still a bit wary as I've been burned before. I'll never forget the Women Love Men with a Sense of Humour debacle of 2004. Oh, it still hurts. Oh, I am very lonely. It's not easy. It's not easy for me to get with women. I'm not a handsome man. I know that. I dress like this. And when I go out in Southend, everyone's still dressed like a pirate or Audrey Hepburn. And I still don't really understand why that is. And I don't really have any friends to ask for advice. So when you rely on the magazines and things, I rely on for advice like 14 Times, Ain't It Cool News, Doctor Who Monthly. I've been led to believe that being able to name all the episodes of Blake Seven in chronological order, or being able to tell you what happens on any given day of any hour on any given day of 24, is pure aphrodisiac. Oh yeah. But if you ask, Ella, Bella, Cosmopolitan, a woman, apparently that's not the case. And the other thing I struggle with is there any really clever, intelligent, brilliant, free-thinking women who've got a bit going on upstairs. And the trouble is, when they're quite clever and smart and have a sense of their own worth, it's very hard for me to bamboozle them into wanting to go out with me. Now, a lot of comedians will come on stage, they'll say, all men are like this, all women are like that. I don't think it's fair to generalise in those terms, but I think it is fair to say in my personal experience, just based on my own personal experience, that all the women I fancy, that I try to go out with, that I want to date, I think secretly in their heart of hearts, and always at the back of their mind, I think they all want to be Elizabeth Bennet out of Pride and Prejudice. Which is great. Just that I secretly in my heart of hearts, and at the back of my mind, I want to be Batman. They want a Mr. Darcy, a tall, handsome stranger who can come in and sweep them off their feet, provide them with financial security and the emotional stability to blossom and bloom into the person they were always destined to be if society and humanity would just cast off the shackles of oppression and let them bloom. And I want to kill people because of deep-rooted psychological trauma caused to me as a child. I don't, of course, though, because like Batman, I have a strict set of rules that I will not break for anyone. What it basically means is that unless their idea of a Mr. Darcy is a borderline psychotic would-be vigilante shut-in with 5,000 videos, I'm pretty much shit out of luck. Welcome, Mr. Tiernan Douieb!
Hello. Right, for a perfect movie, I have written a sort of bespoke film set. What that means is I scribbled most of it this afternoon, and ultimately it has an incredibly disappointing ending, not unlike Under the Skin. Also, not unlike Under the Skin, it's got a very disappointing beginning and a thoroughly disappointing middle, but most of you will be too embarrassed to say so, and you'll just pretend you understood it and thought it was arty, so it'll be fine. I like a lot of films. I watch quite a lot of subtitled films, which a lot of people think, it's because you're pretty smart, Tiernan. It's because you're a pretty clever, arty guy, because you're interested in kind of the foreign cinematic world. And what they don't realise is actually just because I sat on the DVD remote and can't work out how to turn the subtitled off. But I am interested in foreign films. I recently did the which character from Battleship Potemkin are you? And I got the 4th starist soldier whose boots go down the Odessa steps, so pretty good. Yeah. My brother got the pram, so gutted. No, generally, I like going to see. I mainly now go to the cinema, quite sadly, to see sort of blockbusters like visual cinemas. I've stopped. I tell you what, I can't go to View cinemas anymore, and this is incredibly petty. But I get really angry with View cinemas, and I get really angry with them for an extremely small reason. But if you at the beginning of View cinema films now, they play an advert for View, and View says in this advert, "Come for the Viewnique experience. Come for the breathtaking view." And then at the end it says, "View, the future of cinema," and they don't say future. Why would they miss that opportunity when it's so incredibly obvious? Viewnique, breathtaking view, future. No, fucking welcome to the cinema Viewtopia, full of unicorns and ukuleles. View, the future of cinema. No, future is not hard. Makes me want to vuke. What have I seen recently? I saw Guardians of the Galaxy recently, which I really enjoyed. I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's about 5 guys who have to guard a chocolate bar. It's pretty tense at times. Sun comes out, starts to melt. Very excited about the sequel, Guardians of the Galaxy Caramel. Going to be awesome. It's quite unfair as well, because that film, clearly, all the Marvel films have got quite a big audience with kids, and that film is a 12A, which means children can only go, if they're under 12 years old, if they go with an adult who's got adult supervision. Otherwise, if they don't have supervision, they just see green screens, tennis balls on sticks. It's a thoroughly disappointing experience.
Tiernan Douieb! So it's time to bring out our special guest for this episode. So will you please welcome Mr. David Scullion?
Hello.
Yeah. So, for the benefit of people who don't know who you are, could you explain who you are?
Well, my name is David Scullion. I'm a scriptwriter, copy editor, script editor, writer in general, I suppose, in that sense, a blogger, and I also actually have a full-time job as well. Pretty much it. Sorry? Oh, I've made some short films as well, thanks. I've got a prompter here just to help me out. I normally hide in a room all day long typing. I don't talk to people.
This isn't so much, this is as much a podcast about you and your script writing as also an intervention to get you to go outside more. And
there's more than one person here. I don't like it.
I know. That thing was called The Sun. That was The Sun.
I didn't like that either.
No. But you've written some pretty good stuff, haven't you? Like you have.
Surprising to look at me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know you, and it baffles me even to this day. But no, I mean, one of the things. I mean, we talk about like, how you got started and everything, but one of these Don't Move. That's the thing I always remember.
Yeah.
Has anyone here seen Don't Move? Do you know what Don't Move? Well, obviously, the people who.
We're involved
in making it, know what it is. But Don't Move, explain Don't Move, because that's great. If you haven't seen Don't Move is brilliant. So explain.
Yeah, it's part of an anthology made by Bloody Cuts, horror film anthology. It's number 8 in 13. In fact, it was the last because they actually stopped doing it. And I didn't kill it. It was just so good they couldn't do any more. But yeah, it's number 8, and it's a short horror film. It's about 13 minutes long, and it's about the aftermath of a Ouija board. And rather than seeing kind of the start of them doing the Ouija board, it literally starts off with screaming over black, and then it opens up on a house, everyone's standing still, and you've got the Ouija board just with the glass spinning on it slowly, and someone with their heart missing, and it's just on a plate on the table, and that's how it starts. And it kind of moves from there, and there is something. There's a demon basically, and you can't move, and it's going to pick off 5 people. 1 can survive, and it's about how long can you and stay, not moving for. And yeah, I mean, it was something that got picked up. I literally sent the script over to Ben Franklin, who I just happened to know through Willie from my work at the time. He was one of my clients, and I saw some of the other films and thought, that's great, I've not seen these before, that's amazing. So I said to him, hey, they're really good, films, amazing work. And then kind of left my signature at the bottom there, and he went, oh, thanks Dave, that's great. I said, I see you write films. I went, yes I do. And he went, have you got any scripts? Yes I do. So I sent him a ton of them, and that's where that came from. But and it's done really well for itself, actually. It's won a couple of competitions. It's had over, I think, 500,000 hits now across YouTube and the other one, Vimeo. So it's done really well for itself.
It's really gory as well. It's really nasty. It's great.
It's weird. It's not how I imagined it. In fact, it's crazy because I love developing films. In fact, we'll talk about that later on. But the short film, it's strange. It's only 15 pages long or 10 pages long at the time. And originally, the demon was invisible. Because I was writing it for a budget myself, thinking I can make this, and it was a visible demon. The ending was completely different. There wasn't that blood and guts. It was kind of off camera work, and then they got involved because Buddy Cutts worked with Millennium Effects, who did Doctor Who and various other stuff. They got a guy called Cliff Wallace involved, who worked on Hellraiser and has worked with Guillermo del Toro, and they just went, let's make a demon, and it's a terrifying demon. It's amazing, and the guy is in it. The guy called Ian White, who was in Game of Thrones. He's been one of the White Walkers. He's been the Mountain at some point. So he's just in Prometheus as well. He was that weird guy at the start of Prometheus.
You want to see someone get their face ripped? Spoiler alert, really, because it's explaining a death. But I think, if it's a horror movie, I think saying someone dies isn't really a spoiler alert, is it? It's like,
well, someone died before it even started. So
it's very much like casting Sean Bean in something. So you essentially that's essentially a spoiler, isn't it?
Yeah.
The casting of Sean Bean is a spoiler.
He's going to betray someone and then die, and that's pretty much
Is he doing his posh voice or not? I can't tell. Were you into movies before you started writing, or did you say that your sort of huge passion for watching films came from writing? Was there
No, I've always loved films and I've loved TV, and I think when I was young I didn't realise there was an avenue into it at all, which is why I did theatre studies at degree level. I studied theatre, it was great. And I didn't realise you could really get into film. I studied education in your family, really. Back where I was at school, there wasn't any avenues there. It was theatre studies or whatever, history, English. But I always loved films. I always loved TV, and I think horror especially was always something for me. I think I've always had a slightly dark sense of humour, though. But what I realised recently that a lot of the reason why what I write and what I enjoy, Don't Move obviously incredibly gory, incredibly tense. A lot of what I write is darkly comic and isn't too bloody, isn't too kind of pornography, horror porn as they call it, kind of Hostel, Cabin Fever, rip your face off slowly, pull out your eyes. I don't mind. I get the value in that, but I prefer kind of the Joe Dante kind of films from back in, and I realised that I watched a lot of them as a kid because my parents didn't realise they were that bad. They weren't really. There's stuff like Small Soldiers or The Burbs, and Erie, Indiana, the TV series. I love that, and it was stuff that was you could watch as a child, but it had real dark undertones to it. A lot of violence, a lot of death. The Burbs itself, I think it's actually a 15 anyway, but it was kind of a family film almost. And I think Dante's always, I think I've only written Gremlins, of course, and Gremlins 2, and I've kind of come away from that with that love of film and horror and weirdly enough positivity when it comes to my horror. I like a dark ending, but I kind of like hopeful endings as well.
I watched some cartoons or some movies I haven't seen since I was a kid. Most of them are pretty good, but it was really interesting when you look on IMDb or you look at Wikipedia the facts and you find out that all the stuff I really liked was generally the stuff that everyone was like, I don't know if kids should be watching this. Like The Dark Crystal. And it's really weird how those things are really bleak and dark. You don't really notice it when you're a kid. I notice it a lot now when I'm looking back and thinking, I can't believe I was allowed to watch that when I was a kid. But at the time, we didn't really notice anything weird or, sexually weird about, say, Labyrinth. Or, David Bowie's massive bowls the entire time and Hoggle continually hugging his leg and looking right at it. as an adult, it's like your eyes, it's like a moth to a light bulb as an adult, but as a kid, you're sort of completely oblivious to the whole thing. But, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't me. Maybe everyone else was like, look, there's David Bowie's massive knob. But for me, I was just going, this is great. Like, isn't this fun? You write all the time. You've got about 1,500 scripts, haven't you? Like,
I think it was about 3 years ago, around maybe 3.5 years ago, when I went to a screenwriting course. Now, I don't normally advocate courses and reading all these screenwriters' books. I'm just like, you know what, just write. But I went to one that was run by James Moran and a guy called Dan Turner. And James Moran did Severance, Continent vs. Zombies, Tower Block, did some Doctor Who, Tortured, Primeval, and Dan Turner did Stormhouse, and he's done The Man Inside and various things. And it was just run by these two guys. I just thought, you know what, people have been writing. There's all these courses you have where you learn how to write. It's like int means interior, and you have to have a character who's not a bastard, and it's just like, I kind of get that, But this was actually about how to take the step beyond that to move further into the industry, because no one ever does that. There's never really a course for that. Once you've got all your scripts, you're like, what am I doing? Well, you're writing. You think, well, actually, where am I? I'm just writing. Send it to an agent.
I had that when I finished my media degree, because I did media, obviously. Jokes on me.
Good enough theatre studies.
No, but I did media studies because I thought I want to learn how to make movies. You seem that to be logical. I haven't got £1 billion, so I can't go to film school. So I go to do a media degree because I want to learn how to make films. I left university and I was like, right, how do I make a film? And I was like, no one's told me. I just did 3 years of media studies and no one's told me how I get funding, how I apply for funding, how I even really format scripts or how to, oh no. It's like not only was I unemployed for 18 months, I then realised I actually don't even know anything useful to actually do the job I want to do. I could have done PE for 3 years for the fucking use it would have done me. Do you know what I mean? So having a course like that where they say this is how you actually sell things or do stuff would probably be an incredible thing to actually go to.
But it was like a one-off, and unfortunately they've not done it again because it wasn't that popular. And I think a lot of people say, I really want a course into that, and then when they open one up, I'm like, I don't probably think I'm looking, because they said, you have to have written a certain amount, you have to know you're at a certain level, and people went, I don't know if I am actually, I'll go to this course where I learn what a scene is. And actually it was just really useful, because I think there was loads of things of the course, and you learned a lot from it, but I think the one thing I took away from it is just write all the time. It doesn't matter what it is, always right. And it's when I started really kicking off my blog, because although it's not writing a film or a short, it's just constantly writing. It's constantly keeping me, basically pen to paper or fingers to keys or whatever it may be. And since then I really haven't stopped, and it has been I was writing before that as well, but it was that kind of sporadic writing where you were kind of writing once a week, or a month ago by I probably should have started writing that thing. And I've just been ploughing forward for the past 3.5 years. It is a lot of writing. I will write on my lunch breaks at my work. I see my girlfriend in the audience, they're laughing at that. Yeah, you know who I am? So on the weekend, I will wake up at 7 a.m. and I'll write, sometimes through to like 7, 8, 9 at night. Sometimes I'll stop at 1. It depends what's going on at the weekend, but in the evenings I go home and write. And because I enjoy it, I love it anyway. But actually, I had to force myself to do it, because I also love watching films and also watching TV, and also love not working. Or playing computer games, and so you kind of have to balance that out. But it has helped. And it has meant that I've made things. I've made a couple of short films myself as well. The actual work has started getting somewhere, but it has taken 3.5 years.
You've actually had a feature script option. Is that?
Yes.
We can talk about that, can we?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Just quickly, we'll show off that you've got a feature script option.
I think I got paid £1 for it, but I haven't received the payment yet. An option, if anyone doesn't know what an option is,
he's retiring tomorrow. Is what an option means. For those of you who know nothing about script writing, he's retiring.
Yeah, that's right.
My
option,
money.
I got in fact, I would get £1, but my agent gets 10%, so I get 90 pence of that. Exactly. Most of that goes to the tax man. So anyway, I'm gonna buy a lollipop, I think, tomorrow and celebrate. But an option, actually, you can have one for free. It can be whatever it is. It's a contract normally between the production company and the writer, saying that they have the exclusive rights to not do whatever they like, but make your film if they want, or decide whether they want to make it for a certain period of time. They took out a 6-month option on it about 4 months ago, whatever it was. And so they've got the rights to that, and they're gonna make it. It just means that if after 6 months they decide that for some reason they don't want to make it, I can get that back. But it is in this is a script called Dilly Beheaded. It's a comedy horror. It was a horror comedy, but it's much more comedy than it is horror. And it's about a group of guys going on a stag do the day before the wedding. It's technically a second stag do. And their minibus crashes in the middle of England, in the middle of the countryside, in the middle of nowhere. And they happen to try and get some help from a local farmhouse, which happens to be run by some gun runners. And there's a lot of confusion involved, a lot of blood, a lot of people get their hands shot off and things. And the cow explodes. It's quite funny. It's quite silly. But yeah, and for me again, it's a real ensemble piece, a real character piece. But it's been floating around for a lot of years. I don't know how long now. But at least 6, I think. And I wrote originally in Word, because if you're a writer, you use Final Draft or whatever it may be, or even like you download it from the BBC website or whatever, and you've got the proper format. I wrote it in Word, and I've got the old version in Word. It's probably about 150 pages long. It's an unwieldy mess of a thing.
It's all in Comic Sans.
It's Comic Sans. Most of it's pictures. Yeah. It's just a load of pictures, and
every page a paperclip turns up going, I don't know if the character would do that.
Exactly. I thought they were supposed to have paper. Still got the paper clips in there. They're really useful. But yeah, so it was a long time ago. I mean, and we did read-throughs of it back, oh my God, it was years ago. But it's a script that stayed with me the whole time, and I've rewritten it a number of times, and I kind of left it in a drawer for about 3 years, and then just did a page 1 rewrite of it. And then I entered a couple of competitions, and actually what got me, I won the Channel 4 screenwriting competition, which is for screenwriting, which is for to create a TV pilot, which I did, and that script got me onto that. And then from that, weirdly enough, I got an agent from the script writing course, who then managed to get me a meeting about Dilly Beheaded, which then has got it into production. So it's weird. It's kind of floated around the whole time, but it has been years and years and years. And it's been done by a company called Not a Number Productions, run by Simeon Halligan and Rachel Richardson-Jones. Lovely people. And they're producing it alongside Charles Bates. And they've recently released White Settlers, which is cinemas nationwide at the moment and is available to download, I think, on Blinkbox, Xbox, and all whatever they are. In fact, just from Monday, and I think they released it on DVD as well. It's quite exciting, but the next project they're doing will be Dilly Beheaded.
Awesome.
Which is cool.
So you heard it here first.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the moment they've got most of the funding. They're getting some more finance. They're looking at casting at the moment. They're looking at filming probably the start of next year, maybe March, April. But you never know in the world of film. They haven't got a clue.
Well, if you need a sort of husky bearded gentleman to be light relief, I'm assuming you can't afford Nick Frost. So if you need the next best thing, I'll just audition for you. I'll just give you a case you don't. I'm all right. There you go. See, I can see.
That's beautiful.
I can do that.
That's beautiful.
I can do that. See, oh no, I've done it wrong. See, that's like what I do a lot.
Good.
I've dropped the gun. Oh no, I'm such an idiot. That's how it works. So
perfect.
See, if I got it, just go. We've just signed. If anyone's listening, we've just shook hands on me being in this film. So I'm afraid that's casting iron, and we have witnesses here.
What character are you playing?
The cool one.
I've written no cool characters.
The cool overweight hairy one.
Oh, him!
That everyone likes. Yeah. When he dies, the one that everyone actually cares about when he dies.
Oh, right. He's in the background mostly.
Yeah, that's fine.
He has no lines.
That's fine.
We've cut his scene. Sorry.
I'll even be the exploding cow.
Cast.
Yeah. And now it's time for the hashtag game, which is a regular section on this podcast. If you listened, if you haven't, it's basically like playing a hashtag game, but we do it live, not on Twitter. This week's hashtag subject is bread films. So I'll go first, and I've got Buns of the Navarone, Hunt for Bread October, Sandwiches of Eastwick, Pan's Labyrinth, Star Trek 2, Wrath of Narn, and Back to the Future. Dave, have you got any?
Yeah, I've got This Means Warburtons. I've got E.T. Cake, Baguette Carter, Toastbusters, My Own Private Ida Hovis, Crumb Pet Cemetery, and Scone in 60 Seconds.
Nice. Tiernan, do you have any?
Yeah, I've got Do the Right Thing. Chia batteries not included. Yeast is Yeast. Bagel Interrupted. Crumb and Crummer. 24-hour Chapati People. Children of the Cornbread. Flatbread Liners. That's very tenuous. This is more tenuous. Pike Let the Right One In. Scone with the Wind and Teenage Mutant Ninja Tortillas.
Brilliant. You could also, yes. You could also have had Oceans Unleavened, Night of the Living Bread, Beyond the Matzo, and the Sylvester Stallone classic Rotti. And so concludes the hashtag game. Now we come to this part of the show where we talk about your favourite scenes for a film. What's your favourite beginning, middle and end? Well, middles, really, and ends any movies. So without further ado, what's your favourite opening to any film ever?
Well, I've chosen Children of Men.
Children of Men.
Yeah. I think for me, I mean, the film itself is phenomenal, but actually the opening does what so many kind of futuristic films doesn't do. And it doesn't, the great thing about it doesn't have a little kind of opening slate where it explains where we are and what time it is and what's happened to the government. Instead, it goes straight into it, over black with some reporters, and then just has the opening scene. And you don't need to know any more. You just get everything you need to know. And I think that's, again, from my point of view, really good writing, but also so well directed as well.
Yeah, it's a great first scene. Children of Men. Brilliant. I love Children of Men. I think it's one of the best films ever made, and I don't say that lightly. I think it's one of the best films ever made. It's almost flawless, I would say, as a film. But one little tiny bit, which is, the whole film is about hope, if you're not familiar with it. It's about hope. As it's about hope, we don't need the last 7 seconds. Which is not a spoiler, but basically 7 seconds of a movie that you don't need is very rare. These days, normally it's minutes upon minutes, sometimes hours of a film are not needed. 7 seconds, basically, this film not required. Other than that, it's all brilliant.
So if we cut the 7 seconds and made the Richard Sandling cut, it would be the perfect
the Richard Sandling's
movie.
director's cut. The Richard Sandling's director's cut, just literally the last shot wouldn't be in it. So and everything else would be it.
So it is Richard Sandling's perfect movie is what it would actually be.
Yeah.
There you go.
That would actually
we found
be,
it.
The beginning, middle and end. It's great. It's just one of the best filmed movies I've seen. Like, it's just so well filmed. Everything's great. The fact that it's done like a documentary rather than sort of all futuristic-y, Blade Runner-y is also really good. So it looks really bleak and depressing. Who doesn't want to see Michael Caine pretending to be John Lennon? It's like, what a great thing. And I just pull my finger. It's so sad. Whenever everyone dies, it's really sad. It's very rare that you watch a film where it's just really heartbreaking every time everyone dies, because you just realise how life is so cheap, that like it's so much misery and depression, and everyone just get killed at any given moment. It's just so horrific. It's one of the bleakest things I've ever seen, but it's so fucking awesome. Oh, it's so depressing. It's so fucking brilliant. When they take Pam Ferris off the bus, and it's it's
because you care about the characters. Yeah, it's just really well written.
And it's just a really believable future for Britain. And we're living half of it now. But it's just terrifying Britain that's really believable and really depressingly happening. Oh,
God. I'm glad I started with this way. The only way is up.
And also, because Clive Owen's nearly in every shot, isn't he? Practically, there's very little that isn't with Clive Owen in it. So you just feel like you're right with him the whole, especially because it's documentary style as well. Like you are kind of right with the protagonist the whole time. You can't look away, or there's no sort of real sort of third person distance like most films have. You're just right in there with the fucking horror and the misery. Is fucking brilliant.
And he's kind of someone you can relate to, because he's not this superhero character. He is someone that possibly in the future could be us, and that kind of apathetic, oh my god, this country's completely fucked. Like I can't be bothered with this and the young kid or whatever. And it really kind of reflects quite a lot of how the nation felt then and still does now, I suppose, and how normal people feel, rather than being this kind of kick-ass, save the day, I love the country or I love people kind of thing. He just didn't really want to get involved at all, and I really like that. And that's where you follow it. You kind of feel for him and for the people around him.
So it was Children of Men, over black.
Day 1000 of the Siege of Seattle.
The Muslim community demands an end of the army's occupation of mosques.
The Homeland Security Bill is ratified after 8 years. British borders will remain closed. The deportation of illegal immigrants will continue. Good morning, our lead story. Interior packed cafe, morning. Standing room only, middle-aged faces look up at a television in quiet shock, listening.
The world was stunned today by the death of baby Diego Ricardo, the youngest person on the planet. Baby Diego was stabbed in a bar in Buenos Aires after refusing to sign an autograph.
A man enters the coffee shop and making his way through the transfixed crowd. Theo Farron, wearing a worn suit and tie, glasses. Theo wedges his way through the packed bodies to the counter, orders.
Coffee, please. Black.
Witnesses at the scene say Diego spat in the face of a fan who asked for an autograph. He was killed in the ensuing brawl. The fan was later beaten to death by the angry crowd. Theo watches the TV with little interest. Born in 2009, the son of Marcelo and Sylvia Ricardo, a working-class couple from Mendoza, he struggled all his life with the celebrity status thrust upon him as the world's youngest person. On TV, the face of baby Diego, the most famous boy in the world, a fair-haired teenager who never lacked anything, smiling a practiced smile. Theo's coffee arrives. He lays exact change on the counter and makes his way back through the door, weaving through the crowd past people crying.
Diego Ricardo, the youngest person on the planet, was 18 years, 4 months, 20 days, 16 hours, and 8 minutes old.
Theo walks outside with his coffee onto a London street. Battered old cars and buses drive by. Tops on buildings, old billboard-style LED screens display the coverage. Some of the pictures are burnt out. Super, London, 16th of November 2027. Theo continues past dusty storefronts. He sets his coffee cup atop a postbox. He takes a flask from his pocket, unscrews the top, about to pour into his coffee. Behind him, boom! A bomb explodes inside the cafe, blowing out the windows, shaking the ground. Theo's knocked off his feet. Smoke pours from the shattered facade of the cafe. The counter where Theo stood moments before, simply gone. Wells of pain as people stagger out of the blackened wreckage, bleeding, covered in debris. A woman splattered in blood, holding her own severed arm. A screeching can be heard. Then, title card, Children of Men.
Scene. Yes. Children of Men. Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
But again, it just tells you everything you need to know about the whole world there in that. And because the whole thing about Baby Diego doesn't actually matter. It doesn't affect really the story, but it is the world you live in. You don't need these title cards and where we are, what year. It's just so well done.
So what's your next scene? Your favourite? This is one of your miscellaneous scenes from films. Favourite miscellaneous scene?
Again, that's really hard because there's so many good middle scenes. But I've chosen Little Miss Sunshine. One of the many scenes that I love in this movie. Again, from a writer's perspective, it's just so well written, and the characters just jump off the page. And it's so interesting. But I've chosen one of the scenes towards the end of the movie. And now, has everyone seen the movie?
Have you seen Little Miss Sunshine?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, good. Everyone, then we're all fine.
That's okay. Okay, I won't bother then.
Well played, team. Well played.
Because it's could be a little.
It's a very good film, isn't it, Little Miss Sunshine? I was saying earlier to you, wasn't I, that when I first saw it, I was expecting to be more about the little girl than like the whole family, which was not a problem. But I thought it was going to be more about that, and also it was managed to be sort of quirky and interesting without being all like annoying and sort of like whimsically stupid and stuff. There's like certain flags were sort of raised by the sort of the preamble, and I was like, I don't know if it's fine, that's brilliant, it's fine, everything's gonna be fine, it's gonna be a good film, it's gonna be good, brilliant, move on, excellent. Excellent.
It has a Joe Dante's to it, doesn't it? It is actually quite dark. In fact, a lot of the messages are really incredibly dark in it. I mean, everyone basically they have a dream and most of it's shattered for everyone in it, and it's odd, and it's called Little Miss Sunshine. It's bright yellow DVD case, and you're like, this is going to be a really uplifting film, and it is uplifting. It's about family, but everyone's dreams that they have everyone's dreams that they have just kind of are destroyed, and this is one of those moments, and one of the moments that really I remember watching it going, that is just great, because you've got a character, and this is the preamble to it, but there's a character in it, Dwayne, who's the son in the family. He doesn't really like anyone, but he's not spoken for months and months and months because he wants to. He's doing it as a vow of silence. so he can then fly jets. In that,
See, it sounds really wanky when you say it out loud, but it's not when it's in the film. That's the thing. It was one of those people who go, "Oh, this is going to be terrible," but it's not. It's really good. Yeah.
They're played by Paul Dano, isn't it, or Dano? I think how do you say his name. But the cast is really good in it as well, and they just do really well with it.
We were saying as well. I think when Steve Carell was in it, he was a virtual unknown, so it was really hard to get. Like he was cast. The producers sort of didn't really want him. I think it was someone like they didn't really want him in it because he was unknown. Everyone else is basically famous. And then the time of making the film to it being finished, he'd made 40-Year-Old Virgin and The Office, and it was like Steve Carell, star of The Office. Come on, it was like something like, will you please do the press junket that we didn't want you to have anything to do with a year ago? And it was like, well, yes.
But it's one of his best films, though. I think the role is great. He just does. You wouldn't cast him in that nowadays. No. Which is a shame.
He's a really funny suicide person.
But yeah.
Great.
But again,
he's say recoverist or survivor.
He's not a typical. You say that, but again, he's not. Again, that's the great thing about the film. He's not your typical. He's not just depressed the whole time. He's actually got a good sense of humour. He's actually probably more tuned into who he is than anyone else in the family who all look down on him for trying to kill himself. And I think that's again. I think a lot of these kind of indie films would play it with he's really sad the whole time. At the end, he's happy. But edit.
It's all right. No control with props. This guy. No control with props.
Yeah, I didn't want that drink anyway. Sorry.
Unbelievable. This is what our road movie would be like. It'd just be chats in a car and then, oh no. I thought I was supposed to be the fat useless one that drops on the floor.
No, we're unfortunately both of us are. It'll be one of the worst road movies ever. It'd be two fat guys talking about films.
Oh, it's
for like 90 minutes.
It's like Hardy and Hardy. It's terrible. No, but yeah, Little Sunshine's great. And things he writes on his pad are really funny as well. That Dwayne stuff on his pad. Well, not funny, but just when he go hug mum. That's what he says. It's like, oh God, yeah, it's great. You're not going to kill yourself, are you? No, not on your watch. Not, please don't. What is it? Please don't kill yourself.
Please don't kill yourself.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that to you. Not on your watch. I wouldn't do that to you. It's when he gets taken a vow of silence. They keep saying, "We've discussed this," and obviously they haven't because he doesn't speak. So little things like that just amused me. Yeah. So this is the scene where, if you've seen it, do we want to get other people? We need to get other people.
I've picked a scene with loads of people in because it's the bit in. Obviously, they're in a van. All of them are there. I have cut out the bit where Oliver speaks, so at least we don't have to have Oliver speaking. But yeah, so we need a Frank, a Richard.
Typical writer, cut out all the women's parts.
Yeah,
unbelievable. Such an indictment of modern.
I didn't realise we were women in films. Is that I thought they were just men in drag. Is that not? Yeah. No, we're not still doing that anymore. It's in my theatre studies again.
Little Miss Sunshine. Frank now realises Dwayne can't see the bright red letter A on the card, surrounded by red.
It's bright green.
Dwayne shakes his head helplessly. Frank turns away.
Oh, man.
Dwayne looks at him. He pulls out his pad and writes, "What?" Frank doesn't say anything. Dwayne points violently at the pad. Frank looks at him.
Dwayne, I think you might be colorblind.
Dwayne doesn't understand. He points at the pad again.
You can't fly jets if you're colorblind.
Dwayne says nothing. He seems like about to implode in on himself. Then he starts hitting the seats and doors, shaking, about to burst. Frank shouts towards the front.
We have a little bit... I think we have an emergency back here.
Everyone starts talking over each other. What is it?
Just pull over, man.
What's the emergency?
Just pull over, Dwayne. It's okay. Just hold on.
What?
Cheryl, will you get to pull over, please? Pull over.
I'm pulling over. Okay, I'm pulling over.
Dwayne, sit down.
This better be good.
It's gonna be okay, Dwayne. Dwayne? Oh, God.
The bus pulls into the breakdown lane beside the highway. The door slides open and Dwayne explodes out the van, running down the grass verge, shaking, ready. This is the first time we've heard his voice. Fuck! The others get out the car and watch him.
What happened?
He's colorblind. He can't fly.
Oh Jesus. Oh, no.
30 yards away, Dwayne falls to his knees, buries his hands in his face in the grass. He shrieks like a wild animal. There's an out-of-control quality to his behaviour that is scary and disturbing. Finally, Dwayne rolls to a sitting position, his hands covering his face. He sits there crying, the others don't know what to do. Richard glances at Cheryl. He points at his watch and shrugs.
Just give him a second.
Finally, Cheryl approaches Dwayne.
Dwayne? Honey? I'm sorry.
He says nothing. She sighs.
Dwayne, come on, we have to go.
I'm not going.
Dwayne.
I said I'm not. I don't care. I'm not getting in that bus again.
Dwayne, for better or worse, we're your family.
Dwayne stands up and screams at them.
No, you're not my family. I don't want to be your family. I hate you fucking people. I hate you. Divorce, bankrupt, suicide. You're fucking losers. You're losers.
Everyone is stunned by this outburst. Dwayne puts his hands over his eyes and sits down again.
Just leave me, Mum. Please, 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 please. Just leave me here.
Cheryl gets up and walks back to the others.
I don't know what to do.
Well, it's getting late. Maybe somebody could stay here with him.
I'll stay.
No, that is not happening.
All right, well, I'm just worried about the time. Olive, you want to try talking to him?
No, Richard, there's nothing to say. We just have to wait.
A beat. Then Olive walks over and sits down next to Dwayne. She puts her arm on his shoulder. After a long moment, Dwayne stands up.
Okay, let's go.
Scene! Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Coming to your second miscellaneous scene from any film ever. Would you like to tell us what film you've chosen?
I've chosen a film that no one's heard of before. It's called Die Hard. Is anyone? Is
Yeah,
a popular one?
Die Hard, Die Hard, Die Hard.
Just one of the best films, just ever made. It's got so much to it. And everyone's tried to copy it since, including the people that make the other Die Hards, and have failed miserably to do so for the most part.
I remember, because the whole thing, it became the thing where we go, it's like Die Hard on a boat, Die Hard on this, it's Die Hard on that. Stephen E. D'Souza, who sort of, didn't just write it, but he's kind of like the driving force behind like getting it written and stuff. And he said that he was looking to direct a movie, and someone pitched him a script that was described as Die Hard in a building. Which I think is incredible. I have no idea what that film was, but I'm guessing it was, very Die Hardy. What I like about Die Hard is Die Hard's one of those films where there's enough awesome sort of realism to it that when anything really stupid happens, you just go with it and don't care. Like when he jumps off the building with a hose tied around him, you don't go, actually, that would never happen. You just go, awesome! He's jumping off a building with just tied to a hose. This is brilliant. And then just the fact he's like running around with, gets shot in the arm, doesn't go into shock. I don't care. Doesn't matter. This is brilliant.
Even the bad guys have character, and I think that's what a lot of these other movies. Look at Taken. Who apart from Liam Neeson, character-wise, is there in that film, really?
No, because even Taken is, I love Taken, but
it's great fun.
It almost suffers from trying to not be a piece of shit. Because you watch the thing and it's like, no, because he's like, oh, there's his ex-wife, and there's his ex-wife who's there's his ex-woman, his ex-man, ex-wife, and the bloke from 24, who are now looking after his daughter. And then you kind of go, this is all very interesting. You're trying to create subplot and character and stuff, but just fucking someone kidnap his daughter, for fuck's sake. Let's get this show on the road. Like, this is great that you're trying to do proper filmmaking, but unless someone kidnaps Liam daughter in the next 20 minutes, I am fucking out of here.
I do forget the start exists. I actually forget the Famke Janssen birthday party stuff.
Yeah.
That's in that film, isn't it? Yeah. I forget it exists.
And you're like,
actually.
I really appreciate you're trying to sort of make this not just frivolous, but it's only really the frivolity I'm interested in.
But it works in Die Hard because the characters are always there. It makes sense for the characters to be there, and the stakes are there. And like the start bit with his doing his toes or whatever on the plane, it comes back into it at a later point, obviously.
That's also the thing, because it's like, he's stuck there, he's got his no gun, no shoes, nothing. And you go, that's great, but it's also the fact that their reason for it makes sense. Everything about it, you don't spend all the time going, hang on a second, this is not a film that your mum interrupts you watching with questions the entire time. Why is he doing that? Why is he going over there? Who's he now? Who? Why? Why do they want the building? There must be more lifts. Like I would get if I was watching that. Like when I watched Unbreakable. Why is he doing that? Do you want me to tell you? It's because I'll tell you, but it'll ruin it. There's so many good bits in Die Hard. This scene in particular is great. This is the scene where Ellis tries to negotiate to talk John McClane down, which is great because Ellis is without doubt one of the greatest. He's like, you don't even hate Ellis, but he's such a sleazebag or such a dickhead, but he's just so great. But you still go, oh my God, as soon as he walks in the room, you go, they're going to kill Ellis. This is like really weird.
It's the beautiful, again, dramatic irony, and I think that's a lot of films miss it. But because you just look at him and go, "Oh, mate, what are you doing?" And you're just watching the scene, but you love the how it's played against it. You love Hans. How do you say his name?
Hans
Gruber. And you love McClane's reaction to it, and because it makes sense as well for Ellis to do it, because he's just this coke-headed idiot, and it's just perfect. And
that's why I don't feel too sad when he's dead, because he's just essentially, if he was alive, he'd only cause the banking crisis. So, if anything, Hans Gruber's done us all a favour. If anything, he's a class warrior. Is Hans Gruber and his Barabon thievery. Just gotta get come to my room, Potter.
Okay, that's a dodgy line.
It's good, isn't it?
That was his porn audiobook of Harry Potter. He did.
Never liked playing the cello. I have someone who wants to talk to you. Her. It's all right. I'm not auditioning, I'm recreating.
He's not going to be as bad as mine, I won't worry about it too much.
A very special friend. That's the telling to Richard O'Brien again, isn't it? Who was at the party with you tonight. Yeah, just do it. I'll do it like Richard O'Brien, that's the easiest thing. McClane's face falls. Oh God, eyes closed. He thinks he's talking about Holly Gennaro. He waits for the voice that tells him it's all over.
Hey, John boy.
McClane's eyes open, showing equal parts of shock and hope.
Ellis
has a cigarette and a terrorist brings him a Coke.
Yeah. Now, listen, John. They're giving me a few minutes to try and talk some sense into you. I know you think you're doing your job, John, and I can appreciate that, but you're just dragging this thing out. Now, look, no one gets out of here until these guys can talk to the L.A. police. And that just ain't gonna happen until you stop meshing up the works. Capiche?
Ellis, what have you told them?
I told them that we were old friends, and you were my guest at the party.
McClane sighs, partially relieved. Hans, meanwhile, narrows his eyes.
Ellis, you shouldn't be doing this.
Tell me about it.
He looks at Hans, who gives him a nod.
All right, John, listen. They want you to tell them where the detonators are. They know people are listening. They want the detonators or they're gonna kill me.
Ellis gives Hans a big thumbs up.
John, didn't you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
John, I think you could get more with the program a little. The police are here now. It's their problem. Tell these guys where the detonators are so no one else gets hurt. You know, I'm putting my life on the line for you, pal.
Ellis, listen to me very carefully.
John!
Shut up, Ellis. Just shut your mouth. Put Hans back on the line. Hans, that shithead does not know what kind of scum you are, but I do. Now listen to me.
Good, then you'll give us what we want and save your friend's life. You're not part of this equation. It's time you realise that. Saying this, Hans takes out a gun, points it at Ellis, smiling. Ellis smiles too.
Hey, what am I, a method actor? Hans, babe, put away the gun. This is radio, not television.
Hans, that asshole is not my friend. I just met him tonight. I don't know him. Jesus Christ, Ellis, these people are gonna kill you. Tell them you don't know me.
John, how can you say that after all these years, huh? John?
Ellis looks at Hans and shrugs and gives a little laugh. Hans nods understandingly, raises his gun and fires, shooting Ellis dead. Boom! In your face, Ellis! In your face. Scene! Oh, Die Hard. What's your favourite ending to any film ever?
It's from The Thing.
The Thing.
Not the prequel. Not the prequel that came out recently.
The prequel is that's one of the most angry I've ever been at the cinema. Now, I've seen films that are worse than that, but in just the sense of watching the prequel and it ended and it finished and I went, What? That's when which made me really popular in the cinema, when that happened. I did genuinely was like, the fuck is this? Like, the one thing the film had to do was end with the beginning of the first. That's the one thing. The one thing the film had to do was explain how the fucking dog got to it's about the dog. The film is about the dog. It's not about fucking Americans in a Norwegian camp. Like, we know what happened to the Norwegian camp because we've seen the Thing. And then they all die, and you're like, we've run out of Norwegians. How is there a thing? And they all die, and then suddenly it just goes, oh, the guy who can't speak English who's hidden, suddenly chases the dog and starts flying the helicopter, and and he goes boom, boom. You're like, no, that's not good enough. That's not fucking good enough. You absolute bastard. I really want to use the C word, but my mum might listen to it. But that's what I think. No, you clots. Crap heads. And it's like, the fucking 25, 30 years, you can't have a sequel, you can't have a sequel, you can't have a sequel, you can't have a sequel. You can have a fucking prequel that's shit, that doesn't have Kurt Russell in it, or doesn't have John Carpenter directing it, you mother hubbards. You absolute prickholes. Prickholes in the snow.
So not a fan of the prequel.
Fucking hell. Yeah. It doesn't even make sense because nobody ever actually becomes a thing because they keep getting killed before anyone. Then no one's ever the thing. There is no thing in the thing except the dog at the end, which is the thing. Fucking hell! Everyone involved in that needs shooting, taken out and shot.
It is testament how bad it was that we forgot the Norwegians were still alive. Yeah, and it's just like at the end they were like, oh no, the film's over. And I was like, well, how are they going to start the and they were like, I'm still alive, I'm a Norwegian, there's a dog. And it was like, really? That's all you had to do? You could have just had that moment there.
Because the great ending would have been, they've all died, the guy who you think is the hero is going to shoot the dog, and then the Americans shoot him because he shoots one of them. Anyway, what a brilliant dark ending to the prequel, which adds to the tragedy of what you know is going to happen. It's like, fucking hell. It's like, it's like genuinely one of the worst. Whoever came up with the Thing prequel is just a fucking imbecile.
It's pointless.
A fucking imbecile.
If you've seen the original, you don't need to see the prequel, and if you've seen the prequel, you don't need to see the fucking original. It's just like the whole idea is just surprised what it is.
Yeah. Although, having said that, if you're Norwegian, is a massive spoiler. Because in the beginning of the Thing, the proper Thing, even though the Thing isn't the original, because there is, the Thing from another world, but we'll ignore that. The proper The Thing, the Thing that I'm talking about is this. And at the beginning, when the Norwegian's chasing after the dog when he's shooting, when he shouts out in Norwegian, it's not a dog, it's a monster, kill it. Which means the whole of the Thing would be a massive spoiler if you were watching it in Norway. But the Thing, I got sidetracked by my anger for the sequel remake. God. This is proper John Carpenter on full Carpenter mode. It's brilliant. Apparently, even John Carpenter and the writer themselves don't know at which point during the movie everyone's the Thing or not. Yeah. Because that's also what's good about it. You don't spend the whole time going, hang on, if you try and do like a chronological order of who's the Thing, then no one doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you can't work it out. And and people just go missing for quite a long time. You kind of forget they're there, and they're like, oh.
And there's a bit where the dog's walking down the corridor, and there's a silhouette on the wall of a someone. Yeah. And because he wanted to create ambiguity of who that shadow is, that's none of the cast. That's just someone of the crew doing a shadow, so you won't know who the shadow is to create. So it's like the whole thing is really good. And also, people react how you would react to a thing, not too over the top, but they properly react to stuff. And the bit at the end when Kurt Russell's kind of one of the last people. If you've not seen it, Kurt Russell's one of the last people alive. And the Thing comes along, and he's just got a stick of dynamite, and he looks at it. He's basically just killed everyone. Everyone's getting blown to pieces. It's blood and body horror, and it's terrible. And he just looks at it. He goes, "Yeah, well, fuck you too," and throws a stick of dynamite. I love the fact that that's his line to the, "Yeah, well, fuck you too." Blows it up. Well, thinks he's blown it up. Maybe he has blown it up. Don't want to spoil the film for anyone.
That moment when the dog turns in, the dog's in the kennel, and the people, they turn up and they're like, right, get a flamethrower, and it is literally the reaction is, just set it on fire, and that's exactly what you do. It's very well made.
Yeah.
Oh, but talking to John Carpenter though, me and 12 other people, when the ward, right? Okay, bad film anyway, but. I was trying to look for it because I love John Carpenter. Not most of his stuff, but some of his stuff. A lot of his early stuff. But I will watch it all. And the ward was coming out. I was like, oh my God, it was like Birkenhair. I was like, Landish, damn you people. But it was coming out, and I was trying to find where it was going to be in the country. And I was like, well, I'm living in London. This should be easy. And it was on one screen, and that was the Empire Leicester Square, right, which is incredibly expensive cinema. And it's the 1,300 seater cinema. cinema, and I was like, oh, okay, and I was like, I'll go and see it on a Saturday afternoon. I was like, oh God, and I was like, right. So I walked in there, and I got my popcorn and my drink or whatever, and we walked in, and there was 8 of us. And I was like, oh man, and it was crap anyway.
One for every potential murderer.
Yeah, exactly. We were all the same person.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert!
It's just identity, but in one building.
Exactly. It's terrible anyway. But yeah, it's such a shame because I was so excited by it. But I walked in, I went, yeah, I don't think John Carpenter's just got the touch anymore.
Every time
anyone knows who he is.
I'm going to go and see John Carpenter. I think I really like Vampires. I thought Vampires was great.
I
no
did not.
bad words said about Vampires. I mean, it's great because the reason I like it is the reason people don't like it. Because I go, oh, Vampires is great. They go, it's just James Woods walking around killing vampires. I'm like, that's exactly the reason I like it. It's James Woods walking around killing vampires.
And there's a Baldwin in it.
Yeah. It's one of
the lesser known Baldwin.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Lesser spotted Baldwin. But the thing's great because it's got a great ending. Spoiler alert for you that haven't seen it. But basically, they think it doesn't like the heat, so they basically burn the entire Arctic substation. I think it's the Arctic, isn't it? I forget this thing that wherever the thing from another world is set, this is in the other pole.
Yeah, I think it's the Arctic.
Yeah, there's the 2 of them left, and it's great because you don't know which one of them is the thing. If either of them are the thing, well, one of them's bound to be the thing, and so they basically just got to hang out and. Wait for one of them to turn into the monster so you can maybe kill him, maybe not. Maybe they're too tired to do anything. But it's a great sort of bleak ending. And apparently neither of the actors know who's who. But John Carpenter did say in an interview that if you watch the shot, you can see that Childs, you never see any breath come out of his mouth, which infers that he's not...
I think that's what he said, but I watched it the other day and I think there is. I think
Yeah, I
that's
think there
just.
probably is
I think
too.
maybe when it was on VHS and it was grainy as crap, you could be like, oh no, yeah, he's not
People
breathing.
but then people also say that according to the prequel, using that as canon now, this is fucking now. That in the prequel, they say that it can't, your ear, it doesn't recreate earrings and things like that. So he's still got his earring in his ear, so Childs can't be that. But that assumes that the prequel thing is canon and isn't an abomination and should be ignored. And I tell you, if I told you that I don't like the prequel to the, I think, yeah.
And even if it was canon, he could have just picked up his earring and put it in.
Yeah. I get the thing
He was wearing clothes as well.
The thing is quite clever. Yeah.
If he turned up naked, I think, like, hey,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
Which one, yeah. That would be a great porno, wouldn't it? It'd be a terrible whoddunit, but it'd be an awesome sort of...
Keith David and Kurt Russell
hey.
porno.
Well, no, because you'd know who was the thing, because,
I think there's a different version of the thing you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Where is the thing? I'll show you.
Pitch that next time you're pitching a movie.
I will.
Call it Fingerling.
Thing dong.
Ding dong.
Right, now for a serious scene at the end of the thing.
So this is basically the end, which is great. So basically everyone's dead. There's just the 2 of them, and you don't know who's the thing. It's really great. MacReady stumbles into a burnt-out part of the complex, sitting down, exhausted. He moves to drink from a bottle of scotch when a figure appears behind him. It's Childs, holding a flamethrower. He stops and looks at MacReady.
You're the only one who made it.
Not the only one.
Did you kill it?
Where were you, Childs?
I thought I saw Blair. Went out after him. Got lost in the storm.
Childs sits down opposite MacReady.
Fire's got the temperature up all over the camp. Won't last long, though.
Neither will we.
How will we make it?
Maybe we shouldn't.
If you're worried about me.
If we've got any surprises for each other, I don't think we're in much shape to do anything about it.
Well, what do we do?
Why don't we just sit here for a little while? See what happens. MacReady passes a bottle of scotch to Childs, who takes a sip. They just sit there, looking at each other, waiting. Scene! The Thing! Okay.
Actually, the original script, weirdly enough, if you remember the start of the thing where he pours the whiskey in the chess computer, he's had enough, he just pours it. The original script has them in the burnt out pub, as it's called. It was in the rec room. But he has an actual chessboard, a proper chessboard, and he set it up, and they talk about chess for a bit. It's really strange that I much prefer this ending, but it shows how scripts can develop, and you don't really miss half the stuff.
Yeah.
There you go, fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Scullion! Thank you so much for listening. If you have enjoyed this, then please like my page on Facebook to get updates about live shows, podcast recordings and more. That's Richard Sandling's Perfect Movie. You can follow me on Twitter at @squat_Betty. Check out my YouTube videos at user ID Buchan39. And you can check out my website, www.thatawesomemovieguide.com. Special thanks to the Geekatorium at geekatorium.net for all their help in recording this podcast. If you'd like to come and watch these being recorded in London, you can get tickets via WeGoTickets.com. It would be lovely to see you here. I've been Richard Sandling. This was Richard Sandling's Perfect Movie. Thank you very much, and good night!